Sukkot is called the time of our joy. This is really an experience and an opportunity that this holiday offers us to really get in touch with the powers of simcha, the powers of the exhilarated experience, which is called happiness. What is it about the sukkah that makes people happy? And you go around in the synagogues and to people's sukkot. That's what's going on. People are happy. People are having this experience that makes us dance. And in fact, in the temple, that's what people would do the entire holiday. There's a report by one of the rabbis of the Talmud that we didn't sleep the entire Sukkot because we just kept going with the music and the excitement and all kinds of events that were going on that would just bring up more and more joy. So what is it that's really embedded in the nature of this time, which makes it possible for us to experience that? Because, historically speaking, when we left Egypt, so that's the time of our freedom, and we're meant to experience that freedom when we're in the holiday of Passover. When we received the Torah at Shavuot, so we're meant to open up to the possibility of a divine revelation to us. When we go through the destruction of the temple, so we're meant to discover what it means to fall and fail, and then to rise up from that and to rebuild during Elul, when we recoup the connection to that origin that is full of compassion for us and willing to walk with us through our lives. And then finally reach this pinnacle at Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur of really coming in to the close contact with the divine source for all that is. So all of that's happened. So what's left? Well, what's left is to rejoice in this. But how does that rejoicing actually get represented through the Sukkah, which is this four-walled, flimsy building that we live in for 7 days, along with the Lulav and the other species, the other kinds of plants that we use for an activity which is called na'anuim, where we shake them into the different directions. These are the activities we do on Sukkot, and somehow those are paths to the joy which we're experiencing at this time. So let me give us a feel for this and a sense of how this might become our path, and especially in the context of the kind of work that we do together, which is not just an intellecting about it, but also really guides us towards the kind of avodah, the kind of work that we can do to make this a really experienced holiday. So let's just take a look at two aspects of what this holiday brings us. One is indeed that we're sitting inside a sukkah. So this sukkah, which actually means something which surrounds you or covers you, is a representation of the clouds that surrounded us when we were in the desert. Now, clouds themselves have a softness to them, and they also indicate that they're holding a potential which is waiting to be expressed and realized. The clouds that are surrounding our planet hold the waters that are really our life source. So surrounded by clouds is an indication that there's some kind of a presence here which is caring, which is loving, which is protecting. And so that's something really to enter into, that is the orientation. And yet it's very subtle because you're not actually supposed to make the sukkah in a way in which it could continue to last as a permanent structure, but rather it's supposed to have some aspects of it which reflect its being temporal, which reflect its being temporary, especially the ceiling that's over you. That's got to be something which is, like easily passed through, so that you can experience something of what? Well, what actually is happening is, on the one hand, you're experiencing the sense of being cared for and surrounded. But on the other hand, there's an aspect which is an opening to a universal spread that moves beyond the particular four walls that you're in. You see, if you think about it, the temporariness of it, the thinness of it, the subtlety of it is in that which is over you. Because as the rabbis explain it, it's that area which is above you which now becomes a source for an inspiration, or what is called Ruach HaKodesh, a divine inspiration, which is also part of what this holiday celebrates, that people get that during this time. Because what's actually happening is we're being invited, on the one hand, to experience our space down here, but also to allow our awareness to rise up to a higher level of perception, which makes it possible for us to experience space not just as that which is immediately around us, but as a consciousness which is expansive and beyond the particular place where we sit. And actually, the rabbis say a most incredible thing. They say that the sukkah that you sit in doesn't have to be your own. It's actually the case that all can enter into the sukkah and fulfill their obligation, whether it belongs to them or doesn't belong to them. If we get a little bit larger in this, if you look in the prophets, so then you see how Sukkot is actually the holiday which celebrates all peoples being able to celebrate the tabernacles, the Sukkot holiday, when they all experience this sense of an expanded consciousness, which gives us, as an entirety of humanity, a sense of the great spread, which includes us all. So this is such a profound meeting point between me simply being here, but that part of me, which is the expansive awareness, which can be expanded so far beyond the particular four walls that I'm sitting in, is actually the meeting point which Sukkot offers us, right? Now, this is very important for us to be able to, in some way, move between. And there's an actual activity which invites us to move between this expanded sense of, wow, I'm part of the all. I'm included and inter-included with everything, far beyond the boundaries of my body, far beyond the boundaries of the sturdy walls of my sukkah, because that opening on top is inviting me to move beyond. And nevertheless, respecting and being present to and aware of my own specific and particular presence. The work that we do is done with the Lulav, which is a long plant that comes out of a tall and straight tree, the palm tree. And we also take the fruit, the etrog, yellow citrus fruit, and two plants which we're just using the leaves from them, the myrtle, the hadassim, and the arvei nachal, the willow tree from the brooks. And we take all these together and we move them in a way in which we, basically move them to 6 different directions, raising and then bringing them down towards our heart. Raising and then bringing down to your heart. And we do this in 6 different directions, because what's happening actually is we're attaching ourselves, receiving from the higher consciousness, and that is beyond the walls of the sukkah, that is beyond the walls of our particular locality, and connecting to that. And then drawing down where the lulav, which is this long rod-like looking plant, is almost like a lightning rod, carrying down the energies from the particular direction we point it towards, as I'll explain shortly. And then we bring its base close to our heart, together with the fruit and those 2 leafy plants. So this activity is actually something which, on the first day, which is the main day for doing this, we do it all week, but it's the main day for doing this. On the first day, this actually has to belong to you. You can only do this if you own those four species. The Sukkah, you don't have to own because it's part of the universal expansiveness. The Lulav and the other species that come with it, you have to own them. Ulekachtem lachem usmachtem lifnei Hashem. You need to take them for yourself. Because what's going on is you're actually attaching them to this higher vision and then bringing it down into yourself. Let's make this practical and get a sense of why this would have to do with joy. You see, the Rambam, Maimonides, at the end of his teaching about Sukkot, about this holiday, about the laws of this holiday, he says a most profound and important statement. He says it's a very great service to God to be in joy. It's a very great work to do this work of joy. And a person should never prevent him or herself from experiencing that joy. Okay? Tell me now what I do. What is the work? No, Maimonides really hints to us, I don't have to tell you anything. I just told you, just don't stop it from coming. Don't stop it from coming. A person should never prevent this from happening. This joy which is waiting to become the effervescent experience of life. Just don't get in the way. And he tells you how you might get in the way. He says a person should never seek egotistically honor for oneself, but rather one should be open to the expansive presence of the divine that comes to you through doing acts of service to God, to his creation, to that which is beyond you. And in doing that, in letting go of seeking your own honor and your own importance, then you're getting the ego out of the way for you to experience what is really at the source and core of the life experience, which is the experience of joy. And then he concludes by describing how King David was just like completely writhing with joy in a way which was just so strange that his wife reprimanded him for it. I mean, what do you look like some teenager there dancing and exposing your body. And he just described to her how much he would be ready to do even more of just letting go and being in that pulse of life in a way which would be the full expression of what this creation is about. That's what Sukkot is offering us, is to get in touch with that. And the way we're getting in touch with it, and I know it sounds like a very serious activity, what I just described before of moving the Lulav, the way we get in touch with that is, again, by experiencing the joy of our own particular presence, but while we're accessing this more universal, heightened experience which is far beyond us. So what would one do? First of all, in sitting in the Sukkah, really you should take time to just appreciate the coziness of having these clouds surrounding you, so to speak, the loving embrace of Hashem that is with not just with compassion for you, but with love of you, right? We've moved beyond just the condition of compassion, really providing you a space right here and right now. And then letting go so that it doesn't become sort of a selfish and egotistical meditation. I mean, it's not, but nevertheless it could, right? And letting go into a higher awareness, kind of experiencing yourself attached to that which is covering you and beyond you, so that you're in this dialogue with my own personal presence and the life, the universal life, which is always funneled down in to where I am now here sitting. And then when you take the Lulav and the other species to actually, in this practice, which can be done in the Sukkah, so I actually think that's the best place to do it. It can be done in the synagogue, but I personally love to do it in the Sukkah. To move slowly, and this is where the meditation is going to actually guide you in this practice, to move slowly. And here I'm going to go through the 6 different directions with you, as in this heightened awareness of that which is beyond, I shake the Lulav, in this case towards the right-hand side, which is then inviting me, when I faced east, which is the Kabbalistic way of practicing this, and many others not. You don't have to be a Kabbalist to do it this way, facing east. And now on the right-hand side, which is towards the south, receiving expansiveness. That's what this is, expansive love, receiving expansive love. And it's actually done 3 times for reasons that are beyond a short class like this, where I shake it, and I'm to make a sound with it, and then I pull it towards my heart to receive that love, that influx of the expansive love and caring, which comes from that side. That's why the sun, at least in the northern hemisphere, is on the south side during the day, exuding that. Then I'll turn to the left side and do it with a shaking of it, focusing on clarity of boundaries, how I want to know my particular place, and that there are things which need to be excluded and things included, and bring that into my heart. So I'm taking, on the one hand, from a universal expansiveness, but it's being translated into particular values, ideals, pulses of life that come down into a specific form. So there I am there. Then I go towards the front and shake the Lulav. And that is balance, the center column, the ability for me to integrate things in my life in a way which is healing and wholesome. And I bring that into my heart. And then I go upwards to the ability to stand above where life might distract me and to stay steady. That's the principle of netzach, of an eternity where I'm committed and devoted and I can hold that. These are all aspects of God's desires for us, and I'm touching that in its universal sense and then bringing it into myself. And then I bring it downwards, right? Not pointing the top downwards, but just lowering it downwards and shaking it there. That's my ability to receive this in a way in which I'm grateful for it. Hod and Hodaya, I'm grateful for this in a way in which I'm bringing it down into the earth and then touching that to my heart. And then finally one more behind me, which is where everything coalesces together and supports me because it's all bound together and can become the path which I am supported in and walk through, and then shaking it there and then bringing that into my heart, which is also an awakening to my desire to relate outside myself, the yesod, to relate to others with all these powers now that they've integrated in me and I feel my own fullness. I'm now able to share in relationship. So these then become the different powers which are taken from the universal drives of existence, the universal drives of creation, the ideals that God had when he first created this world, that we should have all of these. As they're divided now, separated into these 6 different aspects, and each one brought into the 7th, which is your heart. All this is yours, where the Sukkah is relating to you, to the universal, to the expansive, to the open, to the beyond any ego orientation. It's just the values and drives of creation. Imagine this happening to you. Imagine this sense of, it's all flowing into me. It's all coming to me. It's all in support of me. I'm held here by this divine love. I'm accessing a consciousness which is far beyond this particular place. I'm inviting all people and all peoples to join in this because it's the universal vision. And at the same time, I'm not forgetting myself. I'm actually able to relate all this back to me through these particular pathways, which are the 6 universal pathways, which the Kabbalah has enumerated, which is in the book of Chronicles in Divrei Hayamim, when David says, God, you have grandeur, gedulah, you have gvura, you have power and strength, you have tiferet, a balanced beauty, you have netzach, you have the ability to overcome, And you, Hashem, are glowing with a glory that comes by virtue of this kind of acceptance and great gratitude. And you, Hashem, are the foundation for all the things we do in support of us, making it possible for us then to bring it forth to others. You are all of these, Hashem, and they all combine together within us, made in God's image, made to reflect and express all of this. Take that as a meditation into the Sukkah. Take that as a practice, and you will discover that joy of the exhilarated type, which again this holiday so much is filled with, is an expression of an inner joy that is experienced when you are in touch with this such magnificent flow of life which flows through us and then from us outwards back to the rest of creation. So this is a explanation and description of the practice which makes this holiday really into this time of joy when we're able to interact with our own presence and that which was beyond, experience throughout it all the love of God and His care for us. So it's this which frees us from the constraints of our ego, from our seeking honor for ourselves, gets us in touch with life as a gift to us in a way in which we're open to accept it and not trying to push it off and repudiate it, but rather receive it in what's called hakarat tov, in accepting and knowing the goodness which God is sharing with us, and getting in touch with that in a way in which it's not about me on my own. It's about me as becoming a recipient of all this and then a channel for sharing it with all who will join me in my Sukkah. And so, with God's help, we'll all get in touch with these powers of joy. And in the meditation, what I'm going to do is a bit different than what we're usually doing. And that is I'm going to actually give you an audio guidance through the practice of the Na'anuim, as it's called, through the practice of shaking these 4 species in these 6 different directions so that you'll be able to listen to my guidance as you actually do the practice, should you choose to do so. So I really wish you all the experience of this grand time, which is the holiday of Sukkot, in a way in which you'll know intuitively, experientially, how much indeed it is a time of joy. Chag Sameach, a happy holiday.